welcome to Natural Aesthetics. This is some full body footage from my first session of the week 11 of my full body routine. It's generally speaking my heavier session of the week, and it's pretty simple stuff: heavy bench press, heavy chins, heavy squats, and then some additional work on my shoulders and hamstrings, so seated dumbbell lateral raises and seated hamstring curls. Two areas that I really want to improve over the next couple of months, so therefore I need to add additional work to those body parts. So I'll be doing 2 sets of each every session until I change the routine. The rest of the video, guys, will be about squats, depth of squatting, Olympic weightlifting shoes, and Olympic weightlifting versus powerlifting for thigh gains. This is a really interesting study that compares the difference in EMG activity levels of 4 superficial hip and thigh muscles during different depth squatting. Back squatting to be precise. So partial squats, parallel and full depth squats. The analysis showed that there was a significant difference in the muscular activation of the gluteus maximus between the different depths of squatting. So full depth squatting yielded more than double the activation of the glutes than partial squatting. So it goes to show, if you want well developed glutes, then you need to incorporate some full depth squats into your routine. I can back this up firsthand as well from doing a good few years of full depth squatting. I've noticed considerable glute development since starting doing those. Interestingly enough, there was no difference between the activation levels for the different muscles that were tested, so the quads and hams, during the different depths of squatting. However, these couple of articles up here show that perhaps weightlifting shoes can put maybe more focus on the quads. So this study, the kinematic changes using weightlifting shoes on barbell back squats, showed that wearing weightlifting shoes seems to be beneficial in reducing the overall trunk lean. That's obvious because this position is believed to reduce the amount of shear stress in the lower back area. More importantly, back squat with weightlifting shoes also increase foot segment angle and possibly contributes to greater muscle excitation in knee extensors. To conclude, it is recommended that weightlifting shoes be used by those who are prone to displaying a forward trunk lean and who aim to increase knee extensor activation, which could possibly relate to a greater quad development by doing squats with weightlifting shoes. Secondly, this study, also very similar, the effect of weightlifting shoes on the kinetics and kinematics of the back squat, shows that for load conditions, WS, which is the weightlifting shoes group, gave significantly reduced ankle flexion and increased knee flexion than AS. AS was the athletic shoes, as well as a more upright trunk and greater knee moment for the unload condition. In addition, the experienced group experienced a significantly greater increase in hip and knee flexion with WS than the novices when unloaded. These results are consistent with the idea that WS permit a more knee flexed upright posture during squatting, so some evidence that perhaps supports this study here. Every single squat session that I've done over the last 3 or 4 years, I've used weightlifting shoes, and I have to say that for me, I feel like it's helped to increase my thigh girth. Obviously, I've done a lot of training in that period. However, if we look at this study here, which compares the thigh muscle cross-sectional area amongst national class Olympic weightlifters, powerlifters and bodybuilders, it actually shows that there was no significant difference between the groups, at least in terms of mid-thigh circumference, which is really interesting. That being said, the study doesn't take into account the footwear used by the powerlifters, whether they use flat trainers or Olympic weightlifting shoes, nor does it take into account the style of squatting that was utilised before the study. The powerlifters may have used a high bar squat instead of a low bar squat, which is very similar to the technique used by Olympic weightlifters. So I think the results of this study can perhaps be a little bit misleading. Nevertheless, if your squatting even somewhat resembles the technique that you're looking at now, this video is of an Olympic Chinese lifter, courtesy of the fantastic YouTube channel All Things Gym. If your technique somewhat resembles this, then you're going to see fantastic development in your thigh and quad development for sure. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Email naturalaesthetic@outlook.com for any info on online training. Stay strong.